Maybe we're live now, maybe not. We'll start in a minute. Thanks for joining today, everyone. My name is Dante, and welcome to the live stream. If you're catching the recording, these streams are happening on a regular basis on Zoom. So you can join the Zoom meeting below if you're watching live. The Zoom meeting gets always posted the chats, but also you can stay tuned to this and get an email about when the streams are happening. That's on dantestarshine.com. If you head over there and you scroll just a bit, you'll find a little window where you can pop your email address in, and that will direct you to the email list, and you'll get a message that allows you to join and know when they're happening. Right now, we're going with it's a Wednesday evenings in the US. It's Thursday mornings here in Bali and in this part of the world. And I'm sorry to the European audience who is now watching the recordings, but I would like to do at least a monthly stream to also fit Europeans in. So let me know when the best day and time that would be. Also on dantestarshine.com, you can find all the information about private channeling sessions and the channeling course that's enrolling in several channeled books, as well as on the book a session page. If you feel like donating to support this, it's a great uh, support that helps cover the cost of Zoom and all the other things involved and keeps this going free for all. So thanks for that. And I look forward to connecting with you. So a little bit of Zoom courtesy is to make sure you're muted when you're not speaking. And if you want to type your questions into either Zoom or the YouTube, you're welcome to do so. And hopefully we can fit them all in. There's no guarantee that the written questions do get asked because we give priority to those who want to ask their questions aloud. You don't have to necessarily turn your video on, but if you'd like to, we'd love to see you. And yeah, we'll try to answer as many of the questions as possible. And hopefully you can frame your questions in a way that is beneficial to all. We don't need all the backstory. If the Pleiadian Council needs more information from you, they will ask. Um, and Jody is here today to host the meeting and ask those questions that are typed out. So thanks so much for offering to do that, Jody. Really appreciate that. And thanks for everyone for being here today. Without much more of the babble from me, let's bring them through and you can enjoy the session. Hello, and we say a fantastic day to you at this moment of your time. We are the Pleiadian Council, and we thank you for allowing this transmission to take place. As we connect with your world, a bridge opens up between our realities that allows for both you and ourselves to expand and deepen in our connection with the source. And for this, we thank you very much. So, today we would like to speak about something that is very important in the process of awakening. And this is the difference between sympathy, empathy, and compassion. Oftentimes, you confuse these different energies when actually there is a vast difference between them. First of all, we would like to say that empathy is something that is hardwired into all of you. And you can understand empathy as it correlates to this idea that I am. I am the being I am, but also I am one with all that is. And it is through this realization that I am one with all that is that your understanding of empathy becomes second nature. Because when you feel empathy, there is that instant recognition. I am connected to that other being. I am one with that other being. Again, this is hardwired into you. When you experience empathy, information from another person's aura is translated into your aura. Your own energy system allows for this energy and information to come in. It happens naturally. On a more scientific level, as you could say, yes, neurologists and others have discovered what you call now mirror neurons. And this is that when you see another person doing something or experiencing something, the same neurons activate in your own brain as if you were experiencing that as well. This again happens automatically. And you actually have to do something in order to stop it from happening. So, empathy is what happens whenever you witness another person in pain or in joy. You can experience the energy they are experiencing. And this ought to happen naturally and easily because this is what allows for there to be synergy between beings, collaboration between beings, and for true communities to be built. This is not just unique to humans. Animals experience this as well. And this is part of evolution. This is part of what allows for species to survive and thrive. Because when they care for one another, there is a synergy. There is a natural way that every being thrives because of the natural care that is evoked. That's what happens when compassion emerges. And we'll get to that. Now, first of all, we have to say, how is empathy different than sympathy? When you experience empathy, your energy field remains open. You take in all of the information, all of the emotional energy of another person, and you let that translate to your experience of what they are experiencing. You feel yourself deeply connected with them. But sympathy creates a disconnection. Instead of experiencing directly what they are experiencing, you experience your own discomfort with what they are experiencing. You experience your own sort of resistance to what they are experiencing. You feel bad for them rather than directly understanding the energy that they are experiencing and the emotions that are coming to life within them. Sympathy is the same thing as pity. You pity others when you don't really want to intimately understand the experience that they are having. You can experience this sympathy or pity in a lot of different situations. For example, when you see those who are suffering out on the streets, sometimes you experience empathy when you are allowing yourself to remain open. Sometimes you experience sympathy when the suffering out there seems to be too much. You cannot really connect with exactly what they are experiencing. And instead, you feel something. You might feel bad for them and you feel bad about what they are experiencing, but you close yourself. This sympathy often feels a little bit awkward, a little bit at a distance. It's the discomfort that you create when you create a wall between you and the other beings. It's essentially your own energy field attempting to deflect that energy. You feel and recognize that they are not well, but you also recognize your own discomfort in your own inability to really do something for them. It's natural that sometimes you experience sympathy because you can't always solve every problem in the world. And this sympathy is a sort of self protective energy. It is there because you don't know what to do with the emotions others are experiencing and the situation that they are in. And so rather than overwhelm yourself by activating all of those mirror neurons, by letting all of the energy that they are experiencing come into your being. You create a wall, and this wall is not necessarily comfortable. Sometimes other people want to be in this way pitied, and so that isn't to say there is no use for this energy, but it doesn't allow for that dynamic evolution, for that deep connection to take place. Now, compassion goes a step beyond sympathy and empathy. One moment, the channel is realizing a couple of things. There simply needed to be a bit of a practical adjustment. Now, let us continue. So, compassion is when empathy leads to action. Compassion is when you feel deeply what others are experiencing and what they need, and that motivates you to take action that might better serve them and help them. Now, compassion stems from compassion for yourself. It stems from a willingness to take care of yourself and honor what you're experiencing without invalidating your emotions, without pushing your emotions away, without making the suffering of your own human experience wrong. To be able to have compassion and empathy, you have to be willing to, first of all, open yourself to what you are experiencing. Oftentimes, people learn when they are young that certain emotions are problems and that they must be pushed away or suppressed or fixed as quickly as possible. This conditioning sometimes happens explicitly by being told, stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about, or you have to calm yourself down right now, or something of this nature. Sometimes it happens implicitly through experiences that invalidate emotions, like parents neglecting a child's sadness or anger or putting them in timeout. And this conditioning hardens oneself, and it breaks away the empathy and compassion within by installing a belief system that says these emotions are wrong and you need to protect yourself from them. And the process of having many challenging emotional experiences in whatever circumstances that arise gradually over time supports one in breaking down the walls and relearning that it's safe to feel, relearning that it's necessary to go through challenging processes and hold yourself through them. And by learning how to hold yourself through difficult emotions and make the right choices based in love, without suppressing, without denying, without avoiding, you learn over time how to hold that same space for others, how to welcome others into that open heart. And this becomes a deep level of intuition, wherein you come to know what other people need and what will help them come into balance. You learn to be able to hold their energy without dismissing what they're experiencing and without making it wrong. Compassion is when you can take the actions necessary to help people come into balance. Now, there's something in your world that people call compassion fatigue. And we have to explain to you that you're never fatigued by compassion itself, because compassion builds connection and builds resilience. You might be fatigued by many actions that you take. For example, everybody needs to rest at a certain point. And if you're constantly caring for another and not directing that energy back to yourself, that is draining. But even doing things that are caring for yourself all the time, having a day filled with activities of exercising and journaling and this and that, going from one errand to another, managing your life. This is tiring as well. You need to rest. So sometimes people are confusing the idea of compassion fatigue with simply resting. Though, yes, empathy or sympathy can sometimes be draining when they don't lead to compassion. This is because if you're feeling so much of other people's energy and you're not taking the steps to make changes, you get overwhelmed by those emotions. It's not compassion that drains you. It's either overreaching yourself or not taking any action at all, but still being overwhelmed. And so it leads back into that formula we talk about, the law of love, acting on your highest passion to the best of your ability without insisting on an outcome. You can also replace passion in that statement with compassion. Act on your highest compassion. If you're feeling bored or unsure what you can do for this world, let compassion guide you. Let your highest compassion guide you to make great changes, to offer great support, to bring art, beauty, stability into the world in a way that all supports the greater good of all beings. We assure you that when you do this, this will fill your heart in an overflowing way, that you feel deeply connected to the source. Remember the source's love and this compassion, this empathy that you're experiencing is the clearest demonstration that the love of source is always within you. And when you let this energy guide you to feel more and more connected to the many beings around you, this will deepen your own connection to the source. The more you recognize there is no difference between self and other, and you are all one in this web of creation, the more this unconditional love will naturally and forever spring forth from your being in exciting and transformative ways. So we can give an example, a common example of that, of the difference between sympathy, empathy, and compassion. Say, for example, you're walking through the streets and you see a homeless person, perhaps a drug addict. Sympathy turns a blind eye and doesn't necessarily look or connect with them. Or sometimes even sympathy wants to reach out and give them something, and perhaps sympathy guides you to do that. Quickly walk away. Empathy brings you to really feel what they are feeling and understand their situation. In this example, yes, many people feel sympathy for these people, but they also don't want to do anything about it because in their mindset, in their limited framework of understanding, in their disconnection that they create between them and the other person, they justify why that person is in that situation. Whereas empathy opens up a connection to see the complex story and past that has led that person to that moment. Empathy will allow you to feel deeply into the heart of the other being and recognize that a history of abuse, of neglect, of harsh and cruel traumas has led that person to be where they are today. It's not just the fault of their own choices, though, of course, they have made choices, but many experiences have led them to be who they are. And in that way, when you open up to empathy and that leads you to compassion, perhaps you share more. Perhaps you're able to have a conversation, to let that person express what they're feeling. Recognizing that that is exactly what they need to release themselves from their burdens. Perhaps it leads you to do more, to change the way that people think of these issues. Perhaps it leads you to become an advocate for healing, an advocate for a healed world. Perhaps it leads you to help people change the way they think and recognize that no one is alone in their own lives, and everything that results in this world is part of a bigger interconnected picture. And you can make a powerful impact in changing the way that that big collective picture looks. We hope that helps you. And we hope that you come to understand that whenever you cut yourself off, you're not just cutting yourself off from the bigger all that is, you're cutting yourself off from parts of yourself. Whenever you fall into this tendency to disconnect in pity or sympathy, you have to recognize there's a part of yourself that is being reflected to you in that other being that you don't want to look at, that makes you hide from yourself. And so remember, reality is a mirror. If someone makes you cringe and hide, what part of yourself are they reflecting to you? Opening up to empathy is a great gift. And it only becomes realized fully when it leads to compassion. And that is empathy in action. So many of the issues in your world stem from the fact that people don't know how to cultivate a sense of empathy. And instead, they feel disconnected from others and they cast judgment upon them. Whenever there is judgment, it blocks empathy. So noticing your judgments and breaking through them and recognizing that what you're judging is a mirror or reflection of a disowned part of yourself allows you to break free and allows the world to be more interconnected, more holistic, more loving. And this will be the end of all of the strife and all of the division that keeps your world in the state of suffering that is present today. We thank you very much for allowing us to share this with you at this time. And now we ask, how can we be of service to you with your questions, comments, musings, or inquiries, beginning whenever you wish.
Hello, Pleiadians.
Hello,
Thank
yes.
you for being here.
Oh, yes.
And we have a question in the chat
All right.
that the channel put in that
All
I
right.
will read.
All
Recently, I was looking at the stars out of my window as the neighbor's wind chime attracted my attention as it was sounding quite loud. Then the porch light from the empty house next door flashed at me twice and strange lights appeared. Since then, when I speak to the stars out of my bedroom window, the porch light from this empty house flashes at me when I ask if anyone is there. I always feel excited now to communicate, but wonder who is communicating with me.
Oh, yes. Your Pleiadian guides want to confirm to you that they are there with you all the time. And they have this new power now of activating that electromagnetic field of the light. And sometimes different beings who are connecting with you do need to remind you more powerfully that they are there, they are present, and they are making connection. So, yes, some different guides have that power to influence electromagnetism. This can either be through devices like the light, or it can also be through visual effects and phenomena. Sometimes you might see a hazy aura appear, or sometimes you might see a shadow appear within the light. And oftentimes, guides will present themselves in this way. Remember that whenever you reach out and ask, your guides and the other beings are there. You simply have to open your mind, open your heart to feel that connection. So keep playing with them and playing with the light. Ask for their presence to show up, ask for their messages and information. You might find that different effects from the light mean different levels of response or different sorts of information. So have fun with it.
Wonderful. And we have another question from Preet Paul.
Hi.
Yeah. Hello, welcome.
So my question is, first of all, I like the opening about compassion.
Yes.
And my teacher says, love anyways, even in the midst of hurt, massive
Yes.
amounts of hurt, love anyways. It's a supremest way of being. So just love anyways. It's the most highest vibrational way of being. So love anyways. My question is about something else though.
All
My
right.
question is about communing with the lottery victory. Um, there's two approaches I can take, or three approaches I can take. Approach one is commune with the lottery victor version of myself by just following my exaltation and leaving the rest aside, never thinking about it ever again, just following my highest exaltation, whatever that is. Path
Yes.
two, path two is to commune with it, actually laser sharp commune with it. Focusing to me is exalting. It is very thrilling to focus and commune with Lottie Victor Paul, version of myself. Uh, Path three is a mixture of both of these paths. I am gravitating towards path two, to be honest, even though my coaches told me path one is best. It's just resonating with me to the thrill of that focus, that so laser sharp focus, to focus on anything with all of their exaltation is so exhilarating. It's just so exhilarating. So what's your take on this? Path one, two, or three?
Well, we say that there's many ways of explaining the same thing. And in a way, all of the paths that you describe will lead you to that highest frequency expression of yourself. We say that the easiest thing to do is to go with your highest excitement or passion, love, pleasure, purpose. These are all expressions of what you're calling, in the sense, exaltation, because it is when your heart is most overflowing with love, with passion, with exuberant joy and compassion, that you are in that highest frequency version of yourself. And so the easiest way to access that is by, in this moment, tuning in with what actions, what words, what ideas resonate with your highest expression of that excitement, of that enthusiasm for life and for the divine. And when you do this again and again, and you continuously choose those actions, those words, those expressions of yourself that resonate most with that energy of unconditional love, to do so will become second nature to you. This also brings you into a higher frequency that resonates with the world around you. And in a way, you will raise others up as they will come to resonate with that higher frequency that is expressing through you. Also, you will attract, through a similar resonance, other experiences that match that frequency. And so, as this happens naturally, it will become more and more effortless to maintain that frequency. So, yes, you can also, in a sense, commune with the version of yourself who's already doing that. One way of doing that is by imagining a version of yourself that is overflowing with this unconditional love, that is overflowing with this joy and enthusiasm for life. And oftentimes, by simply imagining a version of you who's doing that, you can become that version of yourself more easily. Because again, you cannot do something that you cannot imagine in some way, in some capacity. Your imagination is directly connected to your ability to create experiences and to communicate with others. So, first, everything happens at that level of your imagination. And in that sense, path one and path two cannot happen without each other. They are inseparable from our perspective and from
Yeah,
our
that
understanding.
makes sense. That makes total sense. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thanks to you as well. Yes.
Hi, Palladian Council. My name is Dev.
Hello.
And I had a question. Um, if me or anyone in the collective gets a future vision of ourselves or of the world, what is the best way that we can ground that information down?
Well, let's start with a future version of yourself, as this is reflecting to you a potential that is within you already. And again, in this moment, there's an infinite amount of timelines that are available to you because this is a universe of free will. So through your own psychic perception, you tune into one of those potential timelines before you, and the information is translated. This is given to you for a variety of reasons. Sometimes you get this information so that you can better prepare to direct yourself to that possibility. Sometimes you get this information because you need to have hope, trust, and conviction that what you're seeing is possible for you. Sometimes you get perception of a potential future that does not resonate with the core of your being. You're being shown this potential future as a mirror reflection to allow you to see into the belief systems, the behaviors, and the energy within you at this time that could lead you to a path that you do not prefer. By being shown this timeline, you get to connect with what is within you that doesn't resonate with the highest frequency so that you can transform it through getting to know it, through coming to love and accept yourself unconditionally. Perhaps it involves processing and journaling about it. Perhaps it involves some form of release work where you take that energy and those emotions and transform them, releasing them from your being. There's a variety of ways that you can let go of those energies that might lead to a potential timeline that you don't really resonate with. Though in both of these scenarios, you're being shown this potential timeline so that you can make some changes. Either that changes to trust more and have greater hope that this positive vision that you're receiving is meant for you and is possible for you. Or you're being shown this so that you can release what might bring you on a path that you don't prefer. The same is, in a sense, true for the collective. You do have the power to influence the collective. By becoming the highest potential version of yourself, you have the greatest power to impact the collective. And so all of your personal efforts to raise your frequency into love, joy, passion, connection impact the collective as it creates a ripple effect, bringing others onto that frequency. So sometimes you get visions of a future so that you can again have trust and hope in the power of your efforts to bring about a better future. Perhaps if you see a more dark or negative future, you're being reflected the potential of the energies that need to be transformed so as to prevent that potential future. Though, again, remember, in all of these cases, sometimes your own hopes and fears will have an impact on this. And yes, sometimes the purpose of this vision is to bring you to release those fears, bring you to release and bring in greater trust. As you connect with that positive vision and you connect with this positive moment, perhaps you draw a timeline on a piece of paper and fill in all of the gaps between here and now. This is a great way to work with these visions. In order for me to get to this highest potential vision of my future, what do I need to do at this point in the process, at the next point in the process, and so on? As you create this timeline map, it allows you to get very clear in what actions to take, what changes to make, and how to be that highest potential version of yourself right here and now in the present moment.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And does anyone else have a question here in Zoom? If not, I will ask, okay, some from YouTube.
All right.
All right. When I recently had to make a choice in my life, I've been having a lot of sudden moments of wisdom, knowing, and inspiration lately, like a light bulb going on in my head. Why are these things happening to me, and what are they? Thank you.
This is your connection with your higher self emerging. When you come under stress, at these moments of the crossroads and you connect to your own source and your heart, inspiration and insight can arise very suddenly from within you. This deep connection with your higher self can bring inspiration, can bring insight, can bring your own connection to your personal truth. So there's many things that you're doing, like connecting with nature and meditating and focusing on the positive within certain challenges that allows you to stay open. Remember that if you were not open, this insight wouldn't arise. So congratulate yourself for staying open. It has to do with allowing your heart to be free, allowing yourself to feel what you're feeling, and staying deeply present. In that state of openness, your intuition can naturally start to kick in and start to show you how to direct yourself to that path that you prefer.
Great. Thank you so much for that. We have a question here in Zoom. C, would you like to unmute yourself?
Thank you. Appreciate giving me an opportunity. Thank you, Pleiadians, for this transmission. I so appreciate always these transmissions. Question about what you were just speaking with previously about different timelines and free will and the role of free will. And I wanted to ask, right now I have a huge life change with family. A deceased, my mother has recently deceased, and there's a lot of transition for my own life. And very recently, someone has entered my life. And I'm very curious to know some guidance about how to stay grounded in processing the grief while this new person, a very new friend, has shown me a lot of support and holding quite a bit of space, but I'm concerned that I'm not able to discern and trust properly in a more grounded way. And whether or not I can really trust this new person, because I feel very, very deeply connected to this new person, Matthew.
The process of grief brings you to connect inwardly to yourself and to allow for these deep layers of emotion to release. In a way, grief also touches upon your own fear of your mortality and allows you to release that so that you feel ever more connected to the source. And this process happens when you are deeply connected in the present moment. The more that you bring yourself to appreciate the beauty of life and the joys of life that are ever present and in the simplest things around you, your heart can open and waves of this sadness and loss can release from your being. Did we disconnect for a moment?
No, I think we're okay.
Oh, all right. We saw a call that disrupted something. Anyway, so as you release these waves of energy, you can deepen in your own connection to the source. You can allow yourself to become more anchored. And whether or not you can trust is a question that must be evaluated continuously, because every person is in constant change, is in constant flux. Every moment is continuous change. And so you can trust this person to many capacities. Their care for you is genuine. Their love and their support for you is genuine. And to let them into your heart is very valuable, as they can allow you to release more of this energy and find a deeper trust and connection. Some of the distrust you're feeling has nothing to do with them. Though, of course, to let them into your heart in this moment also does not imply that you must forever trust them in future moments. It's okay to question at times if the decision that you're making is right for you. So allow yourself to be anchored in the present. Allow yourself to assess the reality of the present and recognize that your boundaries and your needs can always change. And this person is a great match for you in this moment. That doesn't necessarily say anything about the future timeline. They might be here for you and in this moment as a great ally, and you might be there for them as a great ally in the next moment. But that doesn't mean your paths will always intertwine in this way. So to be in the present moment means that you trust that and accept that and embrace the ever-changing nature of reality.
Mm. Thank you. That's very, very helpful insight. My gratitude. I very much appreciate your perspective.
Yes.
Thank
Yes,
you.
our thank you as well.
My love to you, Pleiadians.
Our unconditional love to you. Allow your heart to be open, allow yourself to feel, and allow yourself also to recognize in this way nothing is forever. And the fact that nothing is forever brings you to appreciate the depth and the profound nature of this very moment more. It allows you to savor the joys and savor the sorrows as a passing wave of energy that has its own purpose and has its own meaning. And just because you're feeling a certain way in this moment doesn't mean that feeling will last. Trusting that allows you to surrender more to the feeling. It allows it to pass through you just like a wave. And in this way, the ocean is a great teacher of the ever-changing nature of reality. Sometimes the currents are strong and sometimes they're soft. Sometimes the waves are big and sometimes they're gentle. And your own connection with the ocean is supporting you in this transition. As you watch the waves and as you see their movement, notice how they're never the same and allow that to bring you to appreciate every encounter you have with others, every meal that you have, every breath that you take, noticing there's always a subtle change. And these subtle changes point you back to that ephemeral nature of all of reality. And that allows you to appreciate and savor it all the more, while also recognizing that just because it's this way in this moment doesn't mean it needs to be this way forever. And just because you say yes right now doesn't mean that yes is forever.
It's a very profound, beautiful analogy with the ocean that really resonates with me. Thank you. I have a follow-up question actually to that last really good insight is that so
Yes.
I'm think I'm discovering that my trust issues have to do with that piece that is forever or lasting or surrendering to only the present and not and the concern of collapsing timelines because I feel like I've experienced a lot of collapsing timelines in the last couple years and it's getting over that. I don't know if it's confidence or being more present, but I feel like I'm tied into that. Is that does that make sense or do you have any guidance about that?
Yes. There is a way that these collapsing timelines are ways that the universe is attempting to show you the ephemeral nature of reality. Because once you see an outcome and you grasp to it, you're grasping to that future possibility, oftentimes makes it fall from your hands as if you're trying to grasp into sand or water. You reach for it, and for a moment, it feels as if you're holding it. But as you lift your hands up, it just falls away. And so instead of grasping, allow yourself to sense and feel and savor. And in this way, you will be able to appreciate more, and also you'll be able to direct yourself more to more satisfaction and away from disappointment. Again, that formula is have no insistence on the outcome. And this is a part of it that oftentimes people start to forget once you start to feel that satisfaction and that wonder of a peak state of experience. As soon as you're in the bliss, you attempt to hold on to it. And as soon as you attempt to hold on to the bliss disappears because you're grasping for it. Your attempt to materialize what is essentially immaterial and transcendent causes you to fall out of that transcendental state of consciousness. And so when you're on a path of spiritual awakening and deep transformation, the universe will disappoint you time and time again. And this breaking your heart is actually a breaking open so that you become less insistent, less attached, more focused on the transcendent and less attached to the material. And this is also why those of you in spiritual paths and spiritual communities have this tendency to go with the flow and be spontaneous. Now, there is a shadow side to this as well. And it's important to recognize when people are not honoring the power of their own word in meeting agreements. But a way of avoiding this is by allowing yourself to make plans and more loosely. So an old Norse and you could say pagan tradition of marriage is very different. In hand fasting, couples tie their hands together as a ritual once a year. And on that same day the next year, they both make their own decision. Will we carry on for another year? In this way, there is a commitment that through the ups and downs, you will at least find balance until the moment you decide again what the next year will hold. This is very different than the modern way of making commitments. Forever till death do us part is a very insistent attitude that demands loyalty when the fact of the matter is you're in an ephemeral universe that's forever changing. It's dishonoring the nature of the heart that is subject to great changes and transformations. So your world has conditioned all of you to attach and to hold on and to fixate on your own plans. And this exhausts your mental power and breaks your heart. But if your heart breaks enough time, you connect to the transcendental within your heart and you allow yourself to appreciate the ever-changing, ever-in-flux waves of the universe. And these waves of the universe start to feel far more blissful to you in that surrendered state.
Wow, that's incredible that your the way you explained how to surrender and the ephemeral piece. My deepest gratitude. Thank you so much, Pleiadians.
Our gratitude and unconditional love to you as well.
Wonderful. Does anyone have a question in the Zoom room?
I'll go, Jody.
Wonderful.
So, you know, the energetics can be very up and down. I feel like some days we get bursts of really high energy and then it kind of, stables and then we go up and we go down. And for someone like me, and I know a lot of the collective are very energetically sensitive and sometimes feel this in our physical bodies, and it can be very tiring. Is there any relief coming or some sort of harmony where I'm not feeling like sick and tired in my body?
Well, yes, you can bring this relief. And in that sense, we would say the relief is coming because you're breaking through in many ways. Though you have to consciously choose to bring about the relief. And there's a couple of things that we will suggest, and there's many more that you'll discover over time. And first of all is the acceptance again of that ever-changing nature. Some days you feel good and some days you don't. Some days you're very enthusiastic and some days it comes more difficult for you. Oftentimes the difficulty is an expression of insistence. You might insist that it's easier to grasp enthusiasm and motivation, but the fact of the matter is it may not be present. And you have to then direct yourself to what will bring you to feel more at peace, more in your power. It may not always be the very same thing that brings you that relief and that openness. Some days you might find yourself deeply creative and deeply engaged with something that opens your heart, opens your mind, and makes you feel so connected. And other days, you might be having to work through some shadow material. Working through shadow material requires that you rest as well. Oftentimes, when you feel very tired, it's because challenging emotions need to be experienced. And when you ask yourself deep questions like, what experiences in my childhood or in my past are these emotions connected to? What must I be believing about myself to be true in order to feel this way? What is triggering this emotion? What situations in my life are charged with this frequency? You can allow yourself to unpack what is really causing you to lose energy, what's causing you to need to rest and recuperate more than usual. Now, the other thing we will suggest, and this might even be more important, is that you create something constant within the ever changing nature of the world and your life. So, this is why having a daily practice is very important. A daily practice means something very different for everyone at different stages of their life, according to their capability and according to their interests. The core thing that matters is that your enthusiasm for it is there. And we would actually suggest there needs to be several different daily practices. There must be one for your heart and mind and one for your body. And by doing these things regularly and consistently, you have this sense of connection to something constant within the changes. And just by showing up and doing it, regardless of how much you feel engaged, you will create the sense of consistency and control that empowers you despite the ups and downs. This might mean doing a short yoga practice. It might mean doing meditation. It might mean dedicating time to journal. Perhaps it means reading affirmations aloud. Perhaps it's self talk in the mirror. Perhaps it is chanting a mantra. Perhaps it is hugging a tree and taking a swim. It's up to you. What calls to you most? Do it consistently. Tune into your heart deeply. Where is my greatest enthusiasm? What's something that I will forever be enthusiastic for? And when you can feel that deeply, make it a consistent part of your life. And yes, some days you will feel up and some days you will feel down, but that practice will be your stability within the waves of the ocean.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks to you as well.
Okay, Damien, you have a question? Go ahead, unmute yourself.
I do. So my question is here is in regard, I have been studying my dreams lately more, and I wanted to find out, like I had a dream, like look, backstory first. I have been diagnosed by doctors with this uh, vision challenge that I've had, and it's been going on for about 4 years, and it just came on all of a sudden, um, noticing it, and I went, and went to an went to get glasses originally through an optometrist, and they recommended me to go to an ophthalmologist. So I went there. So jumping forward to now, I most recently had a dream that all of a sudden, like I was sitting with my mother, and I had complete clear vision, and it was just like it went from blurred to focused, and none in any of my previous dreams, like all my dreams are completely clear, but I had this dream specifically about regaining clear vision, and it kind of went into different dreams of explaining to people um, what I had changed in my life, and these are the things that I've been implementing, and as I said, in all of my dreams, I've had clear vision, so I haven't noticed it. So I, let's see, I received this diagnosis, from the ophthalmologist. So I'm wondering if you Palladians have any, um, also they've given me I've received these eye drops, and sometimes I'm in conflict about taking them because I feel like I'm not trusting in my inner source and I'm more leaning towards, a medication.
Yes. So at a mental level, this is reflecting having clearer sight, having clearer insight about certain things, seeing distinctions. And so, in order to heal this, you may have to clear up certain belief systems. And we will also say that one of these belief systems has to do with figuring it all out internally and relying on something external. And this idea of a medicine can actually be very helpful in many situations. Your body, after all, relies on food to survive and water. And the density of the nutrition and the cleanliness of that food has a great impact on you. In this sense, it's clear that everyone relies on something external. And some of you might need something more specific in this form of medicine. These eye drops will help. Also, what we would suggest is a special eye drop that is a little bit spicy from the Amazon called Sananga. This eye drop is used in rituals, in medicine ceremonies in the Amazon and other parts of the world at this time. And it doesn't necessarily have a psychoactive effect, but it is purifying for the nervous system as well as the eyes. And in this situation, in many situations, this can be something that brings about a great change. You can find this online, and we would suggest it. It does burn, it is uncomfortable, but also that discomfort is extremely clarifying and will rejuvenate both your eyes and your nervous system to an extent. We would also suggest doing a practice of eye yoga. This is also something you can look up easily. It involves specific eye movements and emphasizes slowing down the way that your eye moves so that it doesn't move like this in little bursts, but instead in a continuous motion. This increased mobilization around the tiny muscles around and around the eye can create a great burst of clarity and mental insight. The last thing we would suggest is sun gazing and mandala work. This is the idea of focusing your eyes on the light of the sun and taking it in. At first, just for a few seconds, and only at sunrise or sunset. Sunset is easier to begin as well because the sunset light is a little bit less intense. Start with seconds at a time. This energy both charges your body and rejuvenates your eyes. Mandala work is the idea of having an image before you and focusing on the center, keeping your eyes concentrated. As you focus on that center point or bindi, the image around it can blur and move and morph, yet you cultivate a deep sense of focus. We assure you that all of these practices together, as well as what we've suggested of clearing up certain belief systems within you that might obscure your sight, will cause a great improvement. Though there still might be some challenges and blurriness at times, you will be able to regain a lot of sight and functionality.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, a lot of it is peripheral sight, which I didn't mention. Um, but thank you. I will. Some of that I am aware of, and then some I am not. So thank you so much.
Oh, great. Thanks to you as well.
Very grateful.
Okay, I'm going to read another one from YouTube.
All
It
right.
is about Ramana Maharashi. I knew I was going to butcher that. The silent saint could help his interlocutors know their own true self or Atman just by looking at him. What was this ability of his?
Well, this is about resonance and transmission. So when a certain being is at a very high frequency, that energy exudes from their being. Energy exudes from a person to the highest degree in a couple of places. The eyes are both receivers and transmitters of this energy. The hands transmit this energy as well to a different extent. Also, the breath and the mouth transmit this energy, both through voice and also through the subtle energy of the breath. And so, in listening to the words of a high frequency being, one can receive that energy. In receiving touch from a high frequency being, one receives that blessing. Though the eyes are one of the most powerful ways of transferring this energy. And so, because this Ramana Maharishi was an enlightened being, was connected to the source in a deep way, and allowed that energy to exude through him according to his own purposes, he was able to transmit this energy. But there's many others who also give this blessing, or this, in his culture, what they call darshan. So in this sense, he's not uniquely capable of transmitting this energy, though those who were called to him for their specific purposes of awakening and of enlightenment. That is also not to say that just because they are called to him in his teachings, that his path must be their path. And we would say that there's many that are called to him in similar teachings that get too caught up in this idea of renunciation of the world in a way that does not serve them. So that is just our little caveat.
Could you talk a little bit more about the eyes? Expand on that.
Well, the eyes are a portal into the soul. And the eyes connect directly into the brain and the central nervous system in a profound way. And because this higher self, or this witnessing self, is the one within you that watches, the eyes that see and witness can connect you in that sense deeply with that higher self. And so the eyes take in information, but they also transmit the energy of consciousness. That which you observe is affected by the fact of your own observation. And this has been proved in a variety of ways, yes. So you must remember having that feeling that there are eyes on you, that you are being watched. This is because the eyes are transmitting an energy. It is the energy of perception. And as that energy lands, there is a shift in vibration that takes place. When you gaze into another person's eyes, there is a soul to soul link that happens. You see all that they are feeling and experiencing, and you see the soul and the higher self that witnesses through them. This is a deep way of bonding and creates a deep and powerful connection. Also, when you are connected with a being that is of a high frequency, they're also transmitting that frequency. And sometimes through these practices, there can be a profound release of energy, as a high frequency being can allow for another being to release some of their dense emotions simply through that presence, simply through that connection. Yes, also when there's psychic beings present, the eyes can be a way of seeing more subtle things. The eyes of a psychic being can see in other lifetimes, other dimensional connections, and much more. So the eyes are, in this sense, profoundly powerful.
Thank you so much. That's fascinating. C has another question.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Maybe not.
All right.
Maybe she.
All right. Oh, sorry. No, thank you for the opportunity actually to follow up on a question of what you just talked about the eyes being a connection into one's soul. Can you talk a little bit about how touch is a connector, or in what ways, or is it similar, and how touch is a transmitter of energies?
Oh, yes. Because your whole body is also that container for your soul. And your body contains very specific energies and memories in each part of it. When you physically touch another being, there is also a level of deep connection that takes place. Your body starts to bond. You release oxytocin, which allows for feelings of intimacy, relaxation, connection. The touching in this way of two souls reinforces that remembrance that all is one and interconnected. The way that you can feel energies exchange between people reinforces that understanding, that awareness, that you are naturally one, and that love is your essence. Touch reinforces power and love. It allows you to deepen into the magic that is within you. Also, those who work with subtle energies can transmit a current of energy through their touch alone. It can be done with your whole palm. It can be done with your whole body. It can be done with just your pinky finger if you really know what you're doing and how to direct energy. So this touch enforces a deep connection, and it allows you to open to each other. And this is why you've always at least shaken hands to establish a sense of connection, to enforce, even just subtly or slightly, that we are one.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for expanding. Thank you, Pleiadian.
Okay, so I will read another question from YouTube. What are the benefits for our body of yogurt made with milk and VSL3 probiotics using a lactic acid bacteria fermenter maker? And what are the precautions? Thanks.
This subject, we would also suggest researching deeply, as there's many different opinions and things to learn. But we'll say in general, yes, that yogurt contains powerful probiotics, and these probiotics aid in your digestion. And this is especially important to consume if you also consume other dairy products like cheese, ice cream, or milk, because the specific probiotic formulation in yogurt is very helpful in digesting dairy. So if you eat any dairy, make sure that yogurt is a part of what you choose to eat. This probiotic formulation also allows for many toxins to be broken down with greater ease. It allows for the sort of toxins that come from indigestion to disappear. It reduces heat in the body. Sometimes certain people develop too much heat from over-consuming stimulants, spicy foods, and things of this nature, or alcohol, yes. And this cooling effect that yogurt has allows for these excess charges of heat to dissipate and for there to be greater balance in that way. The precaution might be that some people are extremely lactose intolerant. In fact, yogurt does consume a lot of the lactose that is present in dairy, yet some people might be so intolerant to lactose that even the degree that is left can be an issue for them. And so if you know that's you because you've experienced that, then you wouldn't want to eat yogurt.
Okay, anybody have a question from the Zoom room? Okay, this is the last question from YouTube.
All right.
I have lived a very stable, unchanging, yet challenging life the past 25 years, and I feel like it's been an important ingredient healing from my unstable childhood. I was curious about what you would say.
Absolutely. Those who experience chaos, uncertainty, and a constant feeling of a lack of control in childhood will heal through creating that stability, through creating structure, routine, rhythm, and a deep sense of security. Though sometimes there are many overcompensation patterns that you might cling far too much to security as a way of preventing yourself from feeling the insecurity that you once felt. And for this reason, it might be helpful to ask yourself, is there something that I'm excited about that I'm not exploring because I'm afraid? Is there something I want to do with my life that I'm still holding myself back from because I'm afraid? Connect with this, and the answer may be yes or maybe no for you or for different people. Though, if you feel as if there's something that is behind the glass ceiling or hidden within the cracks, it's important to break through and challenge the fear that holds you back.
Thank
All
you.
right.
All these questions are so wonderful. Do you have time or energy for one more?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Mike, would you like to ask this question or would you like me to? Okay, I'm going to ask for Mike. Can you please talk about the scale of consciousness from David Hawkins? Is it valid and any specific ways to use it that you would recommend?
It is valid and it is important to understand because all of these different emotions do have different frequencies. And when you are at the high frequency energies, you are attracting higher frequency experiences and higher frequency people. Yes, and you're able to lift others up into those higher frequencies as well. But there are some caveats as well, because there are many people who start to see these scales of energy, and his is not the only scale. There are many others. So if you start to think that, well, joy is vibrating up here, but fear and shame are down here, you might bring yourself to deny that you are feeling fear, deny that you're feeling shame, and create an external mask that doesn't allow you to get in touch with those things. You might create this external mask of a spiritual ego that denies the reality of all of the emotions that are less than the high frequency energies, according to whatever teachings you work with. And this is very problematic because in order to break free and release these emotions that are lower frequency, you have to feel them. You have to get in touch with the belief systems that are causing you to feel that and challenge them. Undo the belief systems. Prove to yourself that they're not true. Prove to yourself by showing yourself that you're capable, by showing yourself that you're worthy, by showing yourself that you're powerful, by showing yourself that forgiveness is always possible. Prove to yourself that you are powerful. And also release the charge of energy. That might mean shaking. It might mean crying. It might mean other sorts of therapeutic processes that allow you to release the energy from your body. It might mean using your voice to express these energies. Never fear expressing a negative emotion. The only thing you need to fear is believing the negative thoughts that fuel the negative emotion. There's a big difference. And in order to stop believing the negative emotion and the negative beliefs, you often have to voice and identify what those beliefs are that cause you to feel that way. Voice them long enough and fearlessly enough that you see through them. In that way, you stop feeling that energy. Again, many people misinterpret these sorts of teachings and these sorts of scale, creating a false mask of a spiritual ego that prevents themselves from feeling and prevents themselves from expressing. You ought to not need any mask to live your daily life. Yes, sometimes you will have to wear a mask in certain professional settings when you feel disrupted and unstable in order to navigate that situation. But in your personal life, it's better to live without the mask because this allows you to be free, and this allows for these lower emotions that get stirred up to really deeply release from you and not just get pushed beneath the surface and behind the mask. So it is then when you release these lower emotions that you lift up and go beyond them. And that's how you can maintain the high frequency energies at the tops of those scales.
Thank you
All right.
again.
Yes. So
We have, go ahead.
we think that will be all, yes, unless there's a very short, simple question.
Okay. Let's see. If they wouldn't mind talking about finding connection with other humans and why this can be challenging. I find when I take off the mask, it can be a bit much.
Oh,
That's
yes, this is relevant. And we will say it's important to peel off the mask slowly and see whether or not you're in a safe place to completely unmask. If others around you respond lovingly and kindly to unmasking, you can allow yourself to take the mask off completely. Because again, if you take the mask off in the presence of people who lack compassion, who might reject you, who might further hurt you, then it's not safe. And it will only reinforce those negative patterns and reinforce your attachment to the mask. And so, in this way, you have to really assess, are people around me safe? You can test them by peeling off the mask a little bit and seeing what their response is. And if they don't respond well, then recognize they're not the right people. Recognize as well that many times you stay stuck with people who aren't safe because you're attached to the mask. And so if you start to recognize that people aren't safe, seek out those who are safe. Seek out people who love the vulnerable you and treasure the intimacy that's created by unmasked vulnerable connection, because this is when the depths of your soul gets to express through you. This is when your true heart shines forth. This is when you create the deepest connection with others and you recognize that you are all one. But there are some people who are very afraid of you taking your mask off because, again, there is always a resonance, and your removal of your mask feels like a pressure for them to do the same. So instead of doing what they fear to do, they react in anger. Anger is always a protection to overcome fear and to deny it. And so be careful and protect yourself as well, but seek out those that you don't need any protection from, and then you will become the highest version of yourself possible.
What a fantastic way to end the session. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Our thanks and unconditional love to all of you as well. We wish you a fantastic rest of your day then. Oh, hi, everybody. How was that? I hope you had a good one today. Oh, I was like, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, TJ.
Thank you,
That
Well,
was an amazing one.
oh,
Really.
glad to hear it. It felt great. I felt like it was just the perfect energy today, too. So thank you all. Big thanks to Jody. Thank you for reading the questions, for being present with us.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Jody.
thank you. It
Offering the
was an
space.
honor, honestly. I loved it.
Oh, fantastic. Great. The first thing I want to share with everybody is that there's a book coming out called Heart First, Reprogramming Your Mind to Let Love Lead. And it's going to be available on April 29th or 30th, depending on where you are in the world. And it's going to be a Kindle self-release. So that means you'll be able to download it in the Kindle store or order it as a paperback book. And I really just want this to go to the top of the charts on Kindle. So I would love if everybody can buy it. It's only going to be like maybe $1 or $2 on Kindle. And I don't know how much it will have to be on paperback to meet the minimum, but it's my gift to the world. And I hope that these teachings really come to you. And my belief in doing a lot of things in this way is that the support returns. So if you feel like sharing more for that, welcome to receive it. Thanks so much. And as well, if you feel like donating to contribute to this session or any of the future sessions, you can find the information on dantestarshine.com. The contact/book a session tab has all the ways that you can connect with me one-to-one, or also send a contribution if this benefits you. It supports the Zoom costs and everything involved in maintaining this online everything. So yeah, thanks again for being here. And if you want to stay in tune with when the streams happen, again, sign up for the email list and you'll always get an update. But from here on out for the next month or so, it's this Wednesday or Thursday time, depending on where you are. And yeah, how was the stream for everybody? How do you enjoy it?
It was wonderful. Thank you, Dante.
Oh, so glad to hear that.
Thank you, Dante, as usual.
I have a question with the Kindle. Do you have to have a specific, like a Kindle device?
No, you can use Kindle on a computer or on a phone even. There's a Kindle app for both the computer and the phone.
You just
Of
need an
course,
app.
that's not as nice on your eyes, but it's possible. But the paperback won't be that much more, and that's available in many countries. I think the US, Canada, Europe, Australia, Japan, India, I know all will support the Kindle. I mean, the paperback version too.
Okay. Yeah, I do try not to stare into the phone too much. You
Yeah,
know, it's just the strain on my vision.
totally.
Yeah.
Mm.
For all
And I
of
have
us.
Kindle Unlimited. So
Yeah,
all
yeah.
your books are on Kindle Unlimited, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Enjoyed the transmission. It was really good. Everybody was really wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
questions were amazing.
Woohoo.
Yeah, the questions were fantastic, and I like the channel in the beginning too around empathy and sympathy and compassion. I learned a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was fantastic. Thank you.
Worth a
Yeah.
re-listen, that one. Yes.
Yeah, I need to re-listen as well. In the beginning, I had to reset my phone because I wasn't hearing it. It was just silent.
It was jam-packed.
It's great.
Yep.
Yeah, really good. Thank you, lovelies.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to go to bed now.
Okay. Oh, yeah. It's late some places. It's early here, 9 a.m. or we're 10:30 now. But
Awesome. Thank you,
Oh,
guys. I'm going to hop off.
okay, look
Bye,
want
forward
to
to
thank
seeing you
you.
all
YouTube
soon.
comments
Bye.
before I end the Zoom because I won't be able to see them later. Thank you very much, Rosalind. Oh, okay. What about Audible? So Audible, I'm not sure if Audible is going to be available right away. I think it might take some time for the book to be available on Kindle before we can do Audible. The book is called Heart First, and yeah, no need to remember the name. It's going to be available soon. It's not on the Kindle page yet. I'm going to try to do a pre-release thing, but there's still a lot of different things I need to tweak and finalize before I can do that. So yeah, motivation to do that in the next couple days. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and also um, please share this with those that you feel might resonate. Let's get this out there to as many people as possible. Really helps all of us grow and deepen connection to source, and helps the channel grow. So my love to everyone. This is my view. you don't hear the horrible roosters that are troubling me all the time here because Zoom is amazing and blocks out the background sound. Thank you, Zoom. But yeah, I mean, living in the jungle comes with its challenges, I guess. Anyway, much love, blessings.